Today we're taking a look at a product that is definitely changing the streaming space as we know it, and that is YoloBox, specifically their Mini. So why is this product getting so much traction lately? Well, it's an all-in-one solution unlike anything we've seen before. It's an encoder, it's a modem, it's a router, it's a small OBS studio, it's a monitor, it's everything at once. And this is exactly what a lot of people need. And if you consider just how tiny the Mini is, let's say the size of a palm, and how many features it's packing, is definitely worth checking out. And if you're also curious if this is maybe a replacement for your TBS encoder or for your LiveU, stick around till the end of the video. Quick disclaimer, YoloBox sent me this device, but I was not paid for this review, so this is all my honest opinion. Let's jump right into it. And here we go, the YoloBox Mini is the smallest one of the siblings, and it has the least inputs and outputs, so let's check them out first. It kind of looks like a small, fat tablet, but it still has a whole side dedicated just for inputs and outputs. There's quite a few of them. First one obviously being the HDMI in. You can connect any HDMI capable camera to it, and then a USB port. Now, the trouble is that only one of these can work at once, whereas the bigger brothers can have multiple cameras going on. And the software on this thing supports only one camera. The device actually comes in with a different interface than the other two, even though the processor is the same, because it only supports one camera, so just don't get the whole scene switching suit. It comes in with an HDMI out because this device can also be used as a monitor and a recorder. Ethernet, pretty standard. It comes with two inputs, audio inputs. One is line, one is mic. They're slightly different. A headphone port, so you can monitor the sound coming in, and the charging USB-C port. And taking a look at the bottom side, you'll find a standard 1/4-inch mount for quick releases, for things like this. I'll show this in a bit. You also have a SIM card slot, you have an SD card slot, and the power button. So all the inputs, outputs buttons are on the top and the bottom. However, on the back, we have a fan. You can definitely feel it working once you start streaming as everything kicks in. So that's interesting. I'm not a big fan of having fans on the bottom side because it's typically against something, whereas if it's on the sides, then you might have it free. But okay, let's just say this is what they needed to do due to how small this device is. So if we take a look at what the box says, what this device is capable of, it says 1080p 60, touchscreen, graphic overlays, monitor mode, which is kind of cool that you don't have to stream with this necessarily. It has a built-in battery and it supports 4G, so you can use it as a router for itself. Overall, the thing feels pretty sturdy in the hands. Unfortunately, I've messed up my screen protection, so I'm going in without it. But even with the screen protection, it is still like a tablet device, so you need to be really careful with how you handle it and what you bump it against. That is one weakness of this, but at the same time, what do you expect? It's supposed to be like that, I guess. It is an all-in-one device. Okay, we're turning it on now. Obviously, this is a Chinese company, so don't be surprised if you see some Chinese characters here and there, but for the most part, I haven't seen much. So that's good on their part. So once you're in, you have two options. One is to stream, that would be the top one, and the bottom one is the monitor mode. But before we get more into the software, I want to show you this mount that they provide. It goes into the hole in the bottom. It's 1/4-inch, so you can use anything that you already have, like a quick release plate, but this one is very interesting. It turns when it's when it's all the way in, it still turns. So if you have it mounted, you can just turn the monitor left and right. But not only that, you can also turn it up and down, and you can adjust the tension by adjusting this on either side. Although the top one is a little bit weird. I'm not sure how you're supposed to adjust the top one, but okay. I do have to disclaim that this thread was not working really well when I got this device, so I had to take it back to the shop, and they've tried to clear it up because for some reason the manufacturer kind of filled the whole thread, the inside of the thread, with this gray paint, so it couldn't get past like the first turn when you try to mount something. It does seem like you can fix it, and I've seen it in some other videos. A lot of debris all over this. Keep in mind, if you get this device, if you have trouble screwing it in, you need to apply a lot of force until you completely clear all the paint, unnecessary paint that is inside for, I don't know, aesthetic reasons. We've solved that, so let's move on. The primary purpose of the device is to stream, of course. So let's dive into that. You do need to create an account. The typing experience on this tablet is pretty good. It's pretty responsive. It's not like your top-end phones, but it's good enough. I would first suggest you connect to Wi-Fi, and that's pretty handy that you can use Wi-Fi or Ethernet for this one. Of course, these guys are doing a lot of updates. They've done a lot to improve the device since it came out, so you should always apply the latest firmware updates. One of the reasons why I got this device is because they want feedback on it, so you can expect better and better stuff coming out of YoloBox, even for an older device. So when you finally get to the streaming screen, you're greeted with your past live streams, and you can add another one. So let's just do that. And the stream title and the description is being fed to both Facebook and YouTube, and possibly even Twitch. So be mindful of that when you're streaming. It is important that you enter this. And so for the sake of having an HDMI source, I've connected my A6000 for HDMI to the HDMI in of the YoloBox. Now, taking a look at the quality of the monitor image, I would say it looks alright, but only when you boost the brightness very high. Now, you may not see it on the screen, but I'll tell you right now, it looks really good only when the brightness is basically on the max setting. Other than that, it's a little bit too dim, and you can't really see what exactly is going on in the image or the video. In order to go live, you need to have certain stream services, at least one, connected. Well, fortunately, that's not too hard. All you have to do is click down here on like the share icon, let's say. And now you have to either enter your YouTube credentials, Facebook, Twitch. Of course, you're connecting through OpenID, so it's secure. But you can also go for a custom RTMP, which could be useful for people that want to stream to, let's say, their home PC first. You can do up to 3, any combination, and their software is handling the restreaming. Alright, so obviously if you add more than one stream, it's not going to stress the device more, because it's sending to some intermediary YoloBox server, and then it's redistributing to the different services. Alright, let's start the YouTube. We have to select it. Done. And there we go. It says ready. And we're streaming. Now on the top left, you can see if you're actually streaming. You'll see the 3000 kilobits, which is the current setting at 30 FPS, 0 drop frames, will be live for 1 minute. So right now we're streaming. So this is currently 1080p. And on the bottom left, you can also see what platforms you're currently live on. And here's a little bit of ASMR from the fans, just so you know what to expect. The fans are obviously small, they cannot be loud, but you can definitely feel the vibrations when you hold it in your hands, and you can feel the airflow in the back. The device for now is really cool, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can sort of feel the air all the way here, so I think these fans are pretty powerful considering how small they are. So let's get to why a lot of people want this device. Well, you can add overlays straight from the device itself. You can control them live too, which is pretty handy. So right now, this whole right side and this whole bar, it's like a scroll bar, as you'll see. It's showing all the overlays that you can activate or that are already activated. So if you just go and tap on one of them, it shows right there, and it's going to stay active until you turn it off. So if you added a few more, you will get something like this, where you have to scroll down to get to the last one. This side of the screen dims a little bit. That's why it might look different now. But if you want to get out of this screen, you just tap on the left. So that's how you get in and get out. All right, let's just do a real quick test of what you can do. You can do like a countdown where the back is dimmed. You can also change that by holding the source and then clicking the little button, the edit button. You can also delete it if you click the other button. You can adjust the dimming level. As you can see on the left, it shows how dim the background is going to be. So there's so many different options. We're not going to dive into this because we could make 5 videos on what you can do with just the stock stuff. But honestly, what really excites me are not these graphic overlays, but the fact that you can add anything with the web URL overlays. All you have to do is create your favorite overlay in Streamlabs, StreamElements, on your own server at home, and if you're able to share it on the internet, you should be able to put it here. That means stream alerts, any type of streamer alert, or any type of overlay you can come up with. So you don't have to control it from this tablet, you can control it from your PC at home or from your mobile phone. And that's where the real value comes in for this device, that it's infinitely customizable, infinitely. Let's just try to add some random image from the internet, and even shortened with the bit.ly link shortener. And voila, we just got it there. I've actually loaded my whole website into here. As you can see, it's scrolling the news. Whenever you want to end the stream, of course, you click the big red button, click end. I guess the pause button would also end the stream, but it wouldn't close the session on YouTube or on Facebook, so it wouldn't create a whole new thing. Let's just take a look at what the monitor mode looks like. It's just missing the streaming options, but you can definitely use it pretty well as a monitor. And we're gonna see how it looks on a camera too. You can control individual sound levels depending on where the sound source is coming from. Whether it's one of the two mic inputs, the mic in and the line in, or the HDMI input, or even through USB, because you can connect the USB camera to this. Here's my old dusty C920 or 922. It should show right away, and it does. Yeah, there we go. The quality of the camera is obviously pretty poor compared to proper cameras, and because it doesn't know how to handle lighting and all, but it does work, and the FPS isn't all that bad. What's kind of cool, you can use a cam link to turn an HDMI source into USB if you need to, although you should always use it with HDMI, the native one. As for some other things that you can do, you can have a live scoreboard, and you can update the scores, as you can see here. This is pretty handy for people that want to do live games, which is a pretty popular streaming category, let's be real, especially in the US, I would say. So that's handy, pretty customizable, very easy to use. So when it comes to the SD card, you can record on the SD card you can insert here. But from what I saw on other people testing, it did look like the quality was pretty poor. It's like some kind of backup of a backup where I would use that footage. Program out means that you can get the whole overlay and the image out from the HDMI out. So this is pretty cool if you want to do more processing past just the Mini. And here's a feature I really did not expect from this device. It has USB out, video out. So this is technically a capture card as well. So wait, this thing is an encoder, a router, a bridge, a modem, a capture card, a monitor, a tablet. Like, there's so many features packed into one small package, and the price isn't even that big for how much you get, especially if you're using this for static streaming. So for the encoding options, you have CBR, CQ, VBR. VBR I would say is only for recording. CBR is what you're going to use for streaming. CQ, I really don't know when you would want to use that, but okay. Bitrate, you can change the bitrate. There's some presets here that aren't that great. It's like 1K, 2K, 5K, 10K. If you want something in between, you can click on the number and change it. And FPS wise, let's go to the bottom. 20 FPS is the minimum that you can stream at. And then we have 24 FPS, which is the camera, 24 FPS, 25 FPS, 2997, that is camera's 30. Then we have 30, normal 30, 48, 5994 FPS, which is camera's 60 equivalent, and the normal 60. It doesn't go past that, unfortunately. But let's be real, you won't be needing that. So this device has all the most common FPS options. Now, who's this device for? I would say anyone that is sitting somewhere in the stands. He has his camera, his tripod, and he has quite a bit of time to set it all up and enjoy a nice peaceful stream. And you don't want too many moving parts with it. Of course, you do want the power bank to power this, because this battery won't last all that long while it's streaming. So I would say for like short streams, maybe an hour or two, yeah, you can go without a power bank. But if you want to stream longer than that, you need a power bank. A pretty strong one too, because if you connect only like 2.1 amps on it, I think you're still going to be losing on battery percentage overall. It's just going to go slower. So get like a 3 amp PD charger or something. So I would say streaming events, streaming sports, streaming from the church, any type of static and streaming environment, yes, this is the go-to, especially if you need to control like the scoreboard while you're streaming. Who is this not for? Well, I would say everyone that has to move. Wherever you have to put this in a backpack, I would say this product is not it. And why is that? Well, first of all, if you look at its design, it's a tablet, it's vulnerable, it has ventilation on only one side, which might prove to be pretty tricky, especially if it's wrapped in cloth, or sort of wrapped in cloth like it would be in a backpack. You also don't need the overlays. Like, you don't need that stuff right there. You can delegate that to some online service or your home PC. But can you even do that with this device? Probably not, unfortunately. Why? Because it's only RTMP, it doesn't have SRT, one of the most important protocols in streaming, in IRL streaming right now. SRT, it does not have it. That means that your streams outside are going to be extremely unreliable. If you lose connection, you may not connect for like 5 minutes straight because RTMP is a mess. And there's no way to have any kind of disconnect protection on the device itself. And then on the other side, you only have X264, you don't have HEVC or X265, which means that you're not getting the most out of your bitrate. the image quality on average is going to look like 30 to 40% worse than on a HEVC at the same bitrate. It also obviously doesn't have adaptive bitrate, and it doesn't have bonding. Now, these are things that you can sort of fix with some additional hardware, but then why would you get this device if you can get a dedicated encoder that costs 3 or 4 times less? Just one more little nitpick. Let's say you have this in your backpack. How are you gonna deal with this situation? There's so many cables all coming into one device, and especially if you have to take it out of the backpack and then click something on it, because you can lock it while it's streaming. That's nice. It doesn't unlock if you touch it, but just the hassle of having so many things all plugged into one, and then the additional devices and a power bank, let's say, and potentially a better router like a Nighthawk. Yeah, it gets a little bit rough, so I wouldn't say this is there for IRL streamers yet, but it's the right way to go, and you should definitely follow the YoloBox products. And from what I've talked to the guys over at YoloBox, they are considering putting in SRT, and they may have the technology here, it's just not unlocked, let's say. So keep following this device. If they add SRT, at least SRT, this might just become one of the best things on the market. Now, I have not tested everything thoroughly. I've gone through the most basic setups and the most basic use cases, and this device works. It will be cool to check out what speeds you can get with the SIM card, what the recording quality is, how much you can push it in different ways, but that's more for some other videos, I would say. So that's it, guys. YoloBox Mini. I'm pleasantly surprised by this device. I think this is the future of IRL streaming. We need more stuff like this. I don't think it's there for some of the use cases that I've mentioned, but for a lot of people, this is the ultimate streaming device right now. If you're looking for flexibility, for ease of use, for not having to mess with an OBS like right here, for example, at home they're streaming to, this is the device you need to get. It's also pretty cost effective if you think about it. It replaces so many devices. On the other hand, it doesn't solve issues for IRL streamers that are moving a lot. So it's not there yet, but one day, I'm sure this type of device, everyone's gonna have one. If you wanna get one of these, you have a link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.